What were you doing in 1975? Because I was doing nothing because I didn't exist. Welcome back, everyone, to the channel. I hope that you're having a wonderful one out there. Hope that you are feeling good, feeling well, looking up, seeing the sky as blue, or maybe it's black where you are, or maybe it's a nice tint of purple and reds, which here in Florida, we get really cool sunsets. Anyways, today we are listening to the 1975. We're returning to the band. We're listening to the title track. Well, not even the title track. Could it be called the band track? The 1975. The first track off of their 2022 album, Being Funny in a Foreign Language. We've listened to a few tracks already from the band, and this has been once again recommended by Des and supported and sponsored by Des. So thank you so much for the recommendation and definitely for the support. Really, really appreciate that. Now, we listened to a couple tracks from the band from this album, and I thought that they were okay. They haven't quite hit my mark just yet. I'm always willing to give it a shot. So let's go ahead and dive on into this track here, which starts off the album as well. The 1975. Here we go.
This'll get bigger, if you know what I mean. I'm sorry if you're living and you're 17. I heard it's on vogue to be super thin, but your friends aren't thick, so they can't come in. Feeling apathetic after scrolling through hell. I think I've got a
I like this overlapping piano.
Can't really tell, and the fans run. It's cynical, it's Adderall and vitriol, and young people drinking Aperol.
I like the instrumental a lot. It's kind of overlapping cluttered sound from the piano.
And this is what it looks like. Sorry about my 20s, I was learning the ropes. I had a tendency of thinking about it after I spoke. We're experiencing life through the postmodern lens of
It reminds me of Perfume Genius a little bit.
making an aesthetic out of not doing well, and mining all the bits of you think you can sell while the fans are on. Whimsical, political, liberal, with young people as collateral.
I like the way the instruments are coming in. Really good production on that end.
See our constantly American dreams, me buying up all of my self-esteem, while you and I created a legitimate scene, but it's just some bloke in the Philippines, and it's about time. It's about time, this is what it looks like. It's about time.
A lot of subtlety, a lot of... We'll talk about that. And his vocals are being drowned out here.
Sorry if you're living in your 17. I'm 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 sorry if you're living in your 17.
I like the lyrics too.
Sorry if you're living in your 17. I'm sorry if you're living in your 17.
That's cool. That's very cool. Come on. Come on. There you go. Just want to see something. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Okay. Yeah, now we're hitting it. Now we're hitting it. Okay. All right. This is the best track I've heard from the band. This is the one that's now it's getting my attention. Now I'm beginning to. All right. The first two tracks, fine. This one now it's got my attention. I really love the production and the way that all of the instrumentals begin to very, very subtly almost walk into the room, but not into the room where we can like listen to the conversation, so to speak. They're kind of in the back of the room. Like, you know, when you're in a room with like a bunch of people, maybe it's a party or something, there's people right in front of you. Obviously, you see them, you hear them, you might even smell them, right? There's people kind of a little further away. You see them, maybe you kind of hear them. Then there's people way in the back of the room, maybe having conversation. They're doing their own thing. That's where I feel like the space that's occupied by a lot of the instruments that come in. Besides that kind of really cool, I thought, cluttered kind of piano that was coming off the chords, just kind of strumming there. The instrumentals that came behind that and around it were kind of like people in the back of the room. You can see them and you can kind of hear like the general crowd noise and you're trying to pick out their conversation. But the way that it moves and occupies that space, I thought was really, really cool. So that was like a big standout to me from the production standpoint of view. I know we got Healy here on the vocals, and I've been kind of critical of his vocals, or at least I haven't really enjoyed them. But I think they work very well in this track, and I think it's because of that the musicianship and the production that's happening around it. Because kind of like the musicians that I said are kind of in the back of the room. At first, he's up front, as you would expect for the most part with vocalists and most music. And then he kind of, as it fades out, he kind of walks away from us to those people in the back of the room. And I just like how that's all done. Like, the production here has a really roomy sound, not just in space, but also in how it's occupied and the stages of which it's set, which I thought was really, really phenomenally done. I like the lyrics as well, and the bridge of "I'm sorry if you're living and you're 17." Like, if you're 17, you know, you have your whole life ahead of you, as you do at many ages, but you have like a lot of life ahead of you, and you're old enough to like know stuff and everything, and to be your own person. And maybe it's not the best time for you, looking at like world events and stuff like that. But that's really, really, really wonderful, really excellently done, and the ending. I liked it and I didn't like the ending. Because on one hand, let me pull it back up here really quick. The ending, I love this section here. This was a gorgeous climax. And once again, a really wonderful use of sound, because it's like those conversations musically that were happening in the back of the room now faded, walked up to us, and now the music was talking to us face to face. I love that section there and how it transitioned with that really cool riff as well. Just a slick, sleek, cool guitar riff, partially playing very anthemic as well. And I was really hoping for this. So like, I was wanting drums to come in and just pop off. I won't lie. And while I didn't get that, that's why I wanted to just get a hint of the next track, which is Happiness, because this guitar, you can feel it's kind of coming in, and that's a funky guitar. That kind of sounds like what's that band? Polyphia. Kind of sounds like something funky from there. This was the best track so far that I've heard from the band. This one gets my attention, which is actually very proper because it's also the first track on the album. This would be the introduction, and it gets my attention into the next track. Now we're talking. Let's keep on talking. This will get bigger, if you know what I mean. And I'm sorry if you're living and you're 17. I've heard it's in vogue to be super thin, but your friends aren't thick, so they can't come in. I'm feeling apathetic after scrolling through hell. I think I've got... I really can't tell, and the fans are on. I like the modern the take on modern things, right? Scrolling through hell, scrolling on your phone. It's in vogue to be super thin, of course, in the models, but at the same time, your friends aren't thick, dummy thick, so they can't come in. It's cynical, this Adderall, this vitriol, and young people drinking Aperol. And it's about time, and this is what it looks like. I'm sorry about my 20s. I was learning the ropes. I had a tendency of thinking about it after I spoke. We're experiencing life through the postmodern lens. Oh, call it like it is. You're making an aesthetic out of not doing well and mining all the bits of you that you think you can sell while the fans are on. I love these lines here. aesthetic is a really big thing, right? You're making an aesthetic of not doing well in the way of, obviously, depression and such is a real thing. But there is a portion of people out there that think that are perhaps trying to gain more attention and put it upon themselves and think it's very cool to be depressed. And so it becomes more of an aesthetic rather than actually going through the feelings and emotions of such a thing. And of course, Mind in the Bits, you think you can sell Bitcoins and things like that. That's cool. I really like the way that the lyrics are written. Whimsical, political, liberal, with young people as collateral. You see, I can't help because the American dream. I'm sorry, I can't sleep because the American dream. That's a good line. Has been buying up all my self-esteem while QAnon created a legitimate scene, but it was just some bloke in the Philippines. And it's about time. It's about time. This is what it looks like. It's about time. This is what it looks like. I'm sorry if you're living and you're 17. I like the lyrics in this one. I think they work really well. Once again, this is the best track that I've heard from the band. I really like this. Says, let's see. In the past, the opening track on the band's albums has been a new rendition of the same song. The 1975 is once again labeling the first track as... So, dude, all of their tracks... Let me get to the band. All of their tracks, their discography, the 1975, what's the first track? It's always the 1975. I really like that idea. Oh, let's see. This is a tour album. It's still there. Let's try one more. Brief inquiry into online relationships. Track listing. The 1970. That's actually really cool. I like that. I like that continuity throughout their discography a lot. That's really cool. It says, what we're doing is kind of like we're checking in every time. You open the door and you see someone you haven't seen for a while, or for what? In person. But hey, your hair's different, that kind of thing. That's a really great kind of fourth wall breaking... what's the word? There's a word I'm thinking of. Fourth wall breaking kind of way of doing that. And I love that. For a new release, a new album, the band is the same, but of course they're different people as people grow. So it's like they're reintroducing themselves and you're seeing them slightly different. But there's a word I'm trying to think of. It's like fourth wall breaking, but there's a one word for that. It'll come to me at some point, perhaps. Hopefully while I'm recording. The 1975 broke this tradition for the first time in their 2020 album. Let's see. The band returns to opening a record. This rendition will be about Healy holding himself accountable and pointing out his flaws. Okay. Let's see. He says Healy cut some lyrics from the track that were deemed too self-referential, even for him, like too personal. This included the line, you owe James Murphy 20% of this song, your career, and the whole idea of living in the city with a tingle of fear. I have no idea who James Murphy is, but I like that. He had to pull back a little bit. He was being too heart, wearing his heart on his sleeves kind of thing. What's that word, though? That's that word of fourth wall breaking. Meta. That's what the whole intro first track thing is very meta. That's okay. I just had to think about it for a second. This was a really cool track. I enjoyed this a lot. Des, thank you so much for the recommendation, for the support. I appreciate it. And this is the one that's hit. This is the one that's hit. Let me know your thoughts, of course, in the comments down below. I appreciate you all watching. Thank you so much for being here. Come back tomorrow, and I'll see you all then. Bye, guys.